The Russian Civil War was a brutal and bloody conflict that lasted from 1917 to 1922. While the primary focus of the war was the struggle for power between the Bolsheviks and their opponents in European Russia, the conflict also spilled over into Siberia, where various factions fought for control over the region's vast resources and strategic position. Siberia was a sprawling region that spanned more than 5 million square miles, covering roughly 3/4 of Russia's total land area. It was a land of vast natural resources, including timber, minerals, and oil, and it was strategically important as a gateway to Russia's Far East and its Pacific ports. The Russian Civil War in Siberia began in 1918, when the anti-Bolshevik forces known as the White Army began to establish control over the region. The White Army was made up of a diverse coalition of groups, including monarchists, liberals, and socialists, who were united in their opposition to the Bolsheviks and their desire to restore the old order. At the same time, however, other factions were also vying for power in Siberia. The region was home to a number of ethnic groups, including the Buryats, Yakuts, and Tatars, who were seeking greater autonomy and self-determination. The Japanese, who had occupied parts of Siberia during World War I, also maintained a presence in the region and were involved in a number of skirmishes with both the Bolsheviks and the Whites. One of the key figures in the early stages of the Siberian conflict was Aleksandr Kolchak, a former naval officer who had been appointed as the commander-in-chief of the White Army in Siberia. Kolchak was a charismatic figure who had the support of many in the region, and he was able to establish control over large parts of Siberia by mid-1918. However, Kolchak's hold on power was far from secure. The region was vast and sparsely populated, and he faced constant opposition from a range of other groups, including the Bolsheviks, ethnic separatists, and local warlords. Kolchak was also hampered by a lack of resources and support from the other anti-Bolshevik factions operating in Russia, who were focused primarily on the fighting in European Russia. In 1919, the Bolsheviks launched a major offensive in Siberia, aimed at dislodging the White Army from the region. The Red Army, led by the formidable General Mikhail Tukhachevsky, was able to make significant gains, capturing a number of key cities and towns. Kolchak, meanwhile, was forced to retreat eastward, towards the Pacific coast. Despite their initial success, however, the Bolsheviks soon found themselves bogged down in a protracted guerrilla war. The White Army, while weakened, was still a formidable opponent, and the Bolsheviks faced constant attacks from both the Whites and other anti-Bolshevik groups in the region. The harsh Siberian winter also took a heavy toll on the Red Army, which was ill-equipped to deal with the freezing temperatures and harsh conditions. In 1920, the Japanese, who had maintained a presence in Siberia since 1918, began to withdraw their troops from the region. This left a power vacuum that was quickly filled by local warlords, who carved out their own fiefdoms and began to fight among themselves for control over the region's resources. The Siberian conflict dragged on for another 2 years, with both sides engaging in brutal and often indiscriminate tactics. The Bolsheviks launched a campaign of Red Terror, in which suspected enemies of the regime were rounded up and summarily executed. The Whites, meanwhile, were accused of committing atrocities against the local population, including massacres.